my sneak attack on.
What's that? Okay. Yeah, so I mean, I feel like you should print a retraction for that cannabis situation. There's no way we both know that Redman
I wouldn't necessarily
in a cipher.
I wouldn't necessarily print a retraction, but what I would say is that to kind of frame why I took the stance that I took is that one, if you look at Redman's incredible catalog of albums and his lyrical consistency throughout his whole career, it's like he gets underchanged for how good he really is. But then also, though, any cannabis discussion at this point is unfortunately skewed by the Notebook fiasco. So it's hard to even have a fair discussion with people about, because if they already were a hater of cannabis, they can always pull that out the bag.
But here we are. I'm asking people to think critically. I took all that away. I said prime on prime, and I said in a cipher, who was superior in a cipher? I didn't say cannabis was better than Redman as an MC, so catalog doesn't matter.
Well, I was approaching it as an MC, yeah.
Yeah, but that's not what I was saying. And he and Ray wanted to just I don't even want to mention his name if he's not here to defend himself. He wants to just hate on cannabis and bring things outside of that in terms of I said the Notebook fiasco didn't happen. We're talking about 97, 98, 99, 2000 cannabis versus who will win in a cipher. I can't remember the other artists we had in there, but Redman was one of them. And to put cannabis at number 3 was disrespectful. Also to put Jay-Z and number 1 and the other one was a little over Pharoah March in a cipher. I thought was a little. Come on, you said
I have
no. You said he beat Busta Rhymes in a battle, and Busta Rhymes was like 16 years old. Come on, he had
to go 16 years old. Jay-Z and Busta Rhymes went to the same high school. They
they went to the same high school, but Jay-Z was a senior, probably a second-year senior with his old ass.
Busta Rhymes.
Jay-Z
was only like a class behind him.
Jay-Z was 22 years old in the 12th grade. Going down to Cambridge, memorizing his rhymes. Look. Are you ready? What's my name? What's my name? Say Kareem Ali. Say Kareem Ali. You're listening to
Are you serious?
The Hip Hop Debate Show.
Okay, so hear me out.
The official podcast of Kareem Ali. In about 2 seconds, Kareem Ali will begin to speak.
Nigga, and Kendrick, my nigga. Kendrick do his shit. I love that nigga to death, nigga. Don't play with game name, nigga. Compton, nigga. Hardest nigga in Compton. Rapping, lyricist, nigga. Me. Any nigga that say any different, nigga, I'll body him and the nigga he fuck with.
Oh, man.
We're about to get started here. Kareem Ali TV. This is the Are You Serious podcast, the official podcast of Kareem Ali. And today, you know, we talk about it's like a hip-hop debate show where we debate issues, various topics through the lens of hip-hop culture. And today we always have, most of the time, the incomparable Slankster Hughes, poet, MC for Pittsburgh, legend in Baltimore City, headphones falling off. And also got another fellow MC, a brother that I came up with in my early days, who was a young man, a very young man. He's not so young anymore. You're strong, 32, 33 and a half now, you know what I'm saying, fully developed as an MC. We got my man Jay Swan on the show. What's up, Jay?
What's up?
What's up? Like that last project you had, you doing your thing. I really respect it. The performing.
Oh, thank you.
Driving out of town. That's the effort there. Driving out of town to perform at open mics that you probably could do in DC or Baltimore. But I respect the I respect the stretching. Listen, so today I want to talk about a couple days ago. The Game came out and made the comment that on Clubhouse, I believe, that not only is he the best Compton rapper of all time, but that he's better and superior to Kendrick Lamar because he says he raised Kendrick Lamar. Do you guys think that Jayceon is a better rapper or technical MC than Kendrick Lamar is? And
no.
Joshua, wait, Slankster, I'm gonna get to you, brother. Let's go.
Are you serious?
Let's go with the guest first. Joshua Swan right now. My man Jay Swan. What do you think? Do you think the Game is superior to Kendrick Lamar?
I love Game, but no. Like the reason why is like honestly like I mean, when you really think about Kendrick Lamar, he's the greatest of this generation, and like Game, you know, he's cool and all, but I only could think of like one classic album he had, and that was the documentary. So
Only
like
the
Kendrick got like 4 classics in my
You
opinion.
listen to the game, okay? Slikester,
If
what would you say?
So to the game, I say, are you serious? I want to say much worse, but because my screen says Slangston Hughes and not Lyrical Leviathan, I'm not gonna go as hard as I would. Plus, I don't want to get canceled on social media. But
oh my goodness.
The greatest Compton rapper, maybe the wrong G word. But first of all, the game to me has always been a below average, sometimes on par with average MC. His best work was when he collaborated with Curtis Jackson, and on a lot of those songs, he struggled to stay up to speed lyrically with 50 Cent at the time.
Oh my goodness!
Wow.
A lot of what followed the documentary was very mediocre in my opinion. I would say the game is inferior to say other West Coast MCs. I would say he's inferior to a Yuck Mouth.
Whoa. Wow.
Inferior to a Yuck Mouth, inferior to an E40. Sometimes he's kind of like an updated Too Short, but with way less heavy storytelling.
Are you serious?
Wow.
Yeah, and so for him to compare himself to Kendrick, I would say to the statement that Jay Swan made of Kendrick is the greatest of this generation. To that, I might say, "Are you serious?" or "Are you quite sure?" Maybe. I think he's in the top 5 of this generation among his mainstream peers, but I wouldn't call him necessarily hands down the greatest. But he is one of the best for sure. The game is not in the top 10 of West Coast MCs.
Okay. Whoa.
I mean,
wow. Are you serious right now?
He's nowhere near. He's like Razkaz, Mike Anon, Corrupt, like just to name a few California MCs.
Compton.
But I'm saying he's not in the top 10 of West Coast. In terms of Compton, 10? That's different. He's okay. In Compton, I'd say he's in the top 10 of Compton.
Listen, I have to look. In about 2 seconds, Kareem.
For him to be like, I'm the greatest to ever come out of Compton, like,
Vic, I got.
I mean, does he know who was from Compton? Like,
I got to stop you. Are you serious? Come on, man.
The game annoys me.
Come on.
He can annoy me. He's always been way more. He's always oversold himself.
Listen, the game.
Talking to the nerd here, like I like dope lyricism. That doesn't equal the game.
Listen. From a competitive standpoint, I believe that the game has the right to feel that about himself. He could think that because that's the mindset and mentality you have to have. You guys are MCs, competitive. You know how it is. I don't think that technically he's a superior MC to Kendrick, but to say the game is a step above Too Short, who I think is one of the only legends who's kind of whack, that's preposterous. the game is a gifted songwriter and storyteller, and I rebuke your notion that he only had one good album, and I don't think he only had one classic. I mean, it's possible. The documentary was definitely a classic. I don't think anybody can argue that. Are you going to argue that, Slikester? It was a classic record. Slikester. Come on, be serious.
It was a classic record, but not necessarily because of the game solely.
Listen.
Talking about the Dr. Dre production and then the 50 Cent guidance.
The Doctor's Advocate was also a great album. And then if you heard the documentary 2 was a phenomenal masterpiece, in my opinion. Did you hear the documentary?
I think there were strong efforts, but I won't call them like bona fide.
I wouldn't say it was a classic, but it was a masterpiece. And so I think he's comparable to Kendrick as far as his songwriting and song making ability. I don't think that Kendrick's albums totally just blow everything the game did out of the water. I think it's a lot closer than what you guys say. Technical rapping, I had to really study Kendrick Lamar to pick up another level of my own lyricism in the way he puts his words together, the rhymenomics. I never had to study the game. He has some solid punchlines. He has a solid delivery. I think he's good, but I don't think he's on the level of Kendrick Lamar as far as just rapping. Yeah. But as far as album making and song, come on, Vic, you making it seem like the game is trash or he's something like
like he's garbage or something.
No,
man.
You're better than this.
I mean, my assessment is very similar to yours. It's just I verbalize the final answer a little different.
You shitted on the guy. You shitted on JC. I don't appreciate it.
I had
documentary 2 was good. It was good. It was good.
Even musically, the way they brought them together, they blended the songs together. They mixed. They had a Brandy sample. It was a Biggie flow he used. The way, and then the song with Primo and Dre did, or the actual documentary, see the title cut. You would love. It's something you would want to rhyme over. So what are you talking about?
That. I'm not talking about the beats. I'm not talking about the arrangements. I'm not even talking about the songwriting. I'm talking about strictly the game's seamanship. Is very much below what he always tries to sell himself as doing without lyrically proving it. Like if you deconstruct a game verse and a game song, it's usually gonna be, I've been through some hard stuff, here are some punchlines, cats in the industry hated on me, slight dab to 50 Cent, and I'm a blood. It doesn't innovate beyond that, quite honestly.
All right.
Like, give me more. If you're gonna compare him, Kendrick, to the things Kendrick has done on like To Pimp a Butterfly, like the way he's approached a song like a novel, like come on, the guy won a Pulitzer. Like what are you?
Kendrick does have at least 2 classic albums. I'll give you that. Good Kid, Mad City, and To Pimp a Butterfly are definitely classics, but the documentary one was definitely a classic for sure. Some of those songs are
but
classic.
Not necessarily driven by the game as the engine to why it was that good.
Okay.
He played his role, sure. He Robert Ory the joint.
Oh man,
you know what I mean? Hit the open shots when he needed to, but he was not. The offense was not being run through him.
Let's hear from Swan right now. Swan, what would you say about this?
Man, you gotta give Game his props. Like you said two classics, right, Kareem?
At least one. I mean, I think the other they were great albums. They were great albums. I'm not saying they were classics. The documentary was a classic, hands down. The documentary too was great. It doesn't have the status of being a classic, but from a standpoint of technically putting the record together, it's up there. It could compete with some of Lamar's records. I'm not saying it's better because The Pimp a Butterfly should be in the museum somewhere. But it was a dope album, especially with the way hip hop is now. The documentary too ranks very, very high for me.
Oh man, if you compare it to today's scale,
good grief.
If you you got to give Game his props, man. He has his catalog is pretty good. Like if you really think about it, it's really good. Like I don't know what was the last joint he dropped, but I think it was like his last album that came out probably like a year or 2 or so ago. But it was good. And if you really pay attention to it, like he was the best overall artist in G Unit. So like if you want to talk
the week
about
that he was in the group.
That's all it took. I'm trying to boring ass niggas.
Right. I mean, who are we comparing him to?
And like, as far as like the top 3, Compton rappers of all time, I would say it's number 1 is Ice Cube, number 2 is Kendrick, and then this Game.
Is Ice Cube from Compton?
I think so. I think he's from Compton.
I don't think so. Because I wanted to mention Corrupt, but Corrupt is from Philadelphia, so that doesn't fit.
Was everyone in Straight Out of Compton actually straight out of Compton?
No, they're not.
Necessarily.
Not necessarily. I don't think Ice Cube is from Compton.
Yeah, I think he's from South Central. Actually,
he's from South Central.
Yeah. They were coming out of Compton.
It's basically DJ Quick, The Game, and Kendrick. I think are the 3. I think DJ Quick is. I think The Game is a better rapper.
DJ Quick,
I think The Game is a better rapper than DJ Quick, not necessarily a better overall artist. DJ Quick is a producer, mostly too.
Yeah, he's a producer.
Right,
so it's really The Game and Kendrick. It comes down to that, and I would lean towards Kendrick. But
where the hell is Warren G from?
I don't know, maybe Long Beach.
Yeah,
he's from Long Beach. I think
a lot of people are from Long Beach.
Yeah, I'm not talking about West Coast. And West Coast rappers, well, I could put The Game at 10. I can't say he's.
Hey, isn't MC8 from Compton?
I don't know.
No, MC8 is from Compton. MC8 has bars. I can't sleep on MC8.
I mean, I'm a Kendrick guy. I'm a big Kendrick guy, especially for this generation. I don't necessarily think all the people from this generation fit with people in the 90s and early 2000s. I think they're a little more average if you just pluck them out of time and place them back there. But there is some evolution and flow because a lot of the rhythmic, melodic things that people do now is an innovation of emceeing, and to some degree, if you do it right, if you code lyricism in it, a lot of it's trash because it's not done right. It's Vic, you're muted. Yeah. We need you to come on
to make sure that sound wasn't bleeding.
We need you to come on back and get this work because I just don't like what you said about the point JC on. I could
listen.
You went too far.
Oh, I kind
of don't have much else to say.
What you say? Swan?
It's not.
What did you say about Jay-Z?
No, Jayceon. Jagay, that's his name.
Oh, Jayceon. Oh.
Jayceon.
Jayceon.
I mean, that sounds like his daughter's name. You know, like,
man, look, you can't be that brother. He's the one. He's one of the few rappers that, or entertainers that I don't necessarily want to see with the hands because he's an athlete. And so you just can't be saying shit like that about the boy. He crazy. He'll come at you forever.
I don't care about that. He's not gonna rap at me better.
God, probably not. But,
And
to make it
he's not gonna fight the guy.
About the game, it's like, you know, he's a great disser too. Like he'll come up with 300 bars about somebody. He did that to Meek Mill. He did
three bars would be good.
Who he did that to? Joe Button. Who he also did.
Look at the peons that he challenged there. Like
Joe Button is a peon.
Joe Button.
This is not a Joe Button episode, but again, in my opinion, someone who's highly overrated and pushes the narrative of his own overration. Third best MC in Slaughterhouse. Third best.
Well, damn, who's the worst?
Joel Ortiz.
Come on, man. Joel Ortiz.
Dang, man.
He's not being the fourth best in Slaughterhouse is like being the fourth best on the Golden State Warriors.
At some point, we're gonna have to talk about. So you're saying Joel Ortiz is Draymond Green averaging a quadruple single, like Charles.
I mean, that's a compliment. That's a hell of a compliment.
Joel Ortiz was a beast in the late 2000s when he was having his own mixtapes. You making it say these guys are trash? I think you're really just
no. They're all good. Don't get me wrong. They're all good.
Joe Button's.
They're not all necessarily equal.
Look, Joe Button's the ability to put his emotions and vulnerability and still be lyrical and not sound super soft and sensitive like Drake, like a Twinkie feeling with cream filling in the middle.
Drake barely raps. Like he kind of harmonizes and rhymes.
But Joe Button has a technical ability to rhyme.
I'm not saying Joe Button isn't very good. I'm saying that there's levels. There's levels. And we gotta be honest about them.
You want to make me go Farrakhan, or you like, oh, brother Slangston, brother, why would you, my dear brother, why would you say such a thing, Mike Wallace? Why would you?
Listen, I'm not gonna go there, but we need to be clear about something. Like, it's very easy for people to get into these really safe discussions about hip hop in these days when the bar is so low. But if you're really an advocate of the art and you really pay attention to like the true culture as it's being developed at its edge point, you realize that what comes across in the mainstream is more watered down now than it ever has been. And it's intentionally, it's tang. Like it's tang water. It's not potent. And so I just don't drink that from that particular cup. Like if it's dope, it's dope. If it's not, it's subpar.
I can't disagree with your philosophy on it. I just think that you went a little too hard on the game. I think he deserves a little more credit than what you're giving him. I don't think he's trying
to go at Razkaz.
No, he's not Razkaz. He's not Razkaz. So, Razkaz is another level. I agree with that.
For me, like Kendrick is like base level dopeness that you should be at least that good. And so to be like, oh, I'm better than that and not be, I mean, you deserve.
Kendrick is base level dopeness.
In terms of like the highest level, it's base level of the highest level.
Maybe
like,
the
I
game
always
is
discuss it like there's like 3 levels.
Say it again, Swan.
Maybe the game is just reaching because you know he like to clout chase a lot. So
I think he believes that shit. I think he believes that. He's also someone who said he lost a rap battle to Kanye West in the cipher. So I
actually believe that. I believe that.
Well, Kanye, if you got punchlines that could bring the girls in, and anybody could lose based on, you know, somebody's a little flyer, and if you get the crowd on your side, even if they're not technically rhyming better than you, you can legitimately lose a battle or a cipher if you garner crowd attention and girls scream loud.
And this was my Jay-Z argument in that cipher discussion.
I don't think that's what we were talking about. But y'all, you changed the rules. I set the parameters, and you bend and mix it to fit your argument of what you want to do. I
don't want to bend and mix the discussion.
Keep that shit up. I like it.
We're talking about.
I like the drama. I like the bullshit sometimes. That's why we're here, obviously.
But again, there's levels. You know, like I used to break it down into like, okay, well, what is the notifiable individual of the moment? Like there's like Elzai level, there's Kendrick level, then there's like J. Cole level. the game doesn't even reach any of those 3 levels of top tier dope.
Come on, man. Are you serious?
I'm quite serious. Y'all
So-
answer me. Who wins head to head, J. Cole versus the game?
Game. I'm gonna be
Not
straight
sure
up
about that.
I'm sure. Like, Game is a battle MC. He's a battle MC. Like, I never seen, J. Cole like battle anybody except for that, that diss he had to Kanye, but it was like more like a friendly diss. But he doesn't have a strong resume in battles for real. If you want to be real.
Well, if you follow that logic, J. Cole the game is right there hovering near the bottom level of what should be at least quality. If you're talking comparison to Kendrick level, that's a step above, and I don't think he's there. And that's kind of where I end my analysis.
Okay, I mean, the game versus J. Cole I do think J. Cole is a superior MC because he's a little more intricate, even though some of his punchlines have to do with immature stuff like his dick and shit all the time. He says that a lot. You know what I'm saying? But I do think J. Cole, especially in this generation, his ability to craft songs and remain lyrical in them and to craft songs rhythmically with that the updated type of trap flow is superior to what the game has. But everything the game has done, especially from 2005 on, I just don't think he's ever had a bad album. And I think the rapping is more than adequate. But I agree with Slikes that it's not quite Kendrick or Cole technically.
And if you really think about it, like, I'm not trying to sound like a J. Cole hater, but I like J. Cole. But honestly, in my opinion, he doesn't have a classic album.
Come on, that Forest Hill Drive? That's debatably
I would say
a classic.
that's borderline, but everything else was like, good. But
Forest Hill Drive, man. If you listen to it again, I gotta say, are you serious?
Yeah, it's borderline. It's not like a classic masterpiece.
He can rap. He said, look, I'm close to the cliff, like Mrs. Huxtable. I like J. Cole, man.
I like J. Cole too, but I think he has like a borderline classic. It's not a certified classic.
Slikes to what say you?
It's cool. It was cool.
Says the nigga that looks like the nigga that looks like his slightly older brother. You about as tall as him. You
got the same grade.
The slightly more seasoned MC version of him. But I mean, that was the one that I enjoyed the most.
You like or Hoop Dreams where you had not Arthur AG but William Gates. William Gates had the older brother that was doing 360 dunks when he put on. That's say you put on a strong 790 pounds like his brother did. But his older brother used to bully him and MC him, but then he actually grew up and made it because of your tutelage. Just
I ain't gonna lie. There was a picture of him in the airport for 2.5 milliseconds. I was like, when was I at that airport?
Yeah.
But I mean, no, J. Cole is absolutely solid, especially if you listen to his verse on the previous Gangstar album. But what I would say is one, it has a lot to do with necessarily the production that he picks at times. He knows what beats work for him and his style. But what I also would say too is that this is the discussion that I always get into when it comes to J. Cole is that people are so quick to oversimplify in this era. They'll be like, oh, J. Cole is GOAT status, or J. Cole is, he's up there with like how Jay was in the 90s, and it's like it's not a fair comparison. You're judging people who are doing really cool tricks in a kiddie pool versus people who are doing high diving.
I agree with that. If you lower the rim to 8 feet, everybody could dunk. So it's not even like
it's like
the bar's lower.
Like, yeah, people were doing 360s on the kid rim, and it's like that's not as impressive. I saw Dominique Dawkins, you know what I mean? I saw Dominique Wilkins rather, like on the real hoop, like so doing even more impressive dunks. So it's like it's not a fair comparison to be like, oh wow, he's like one of the greats of all time, when it's like you have to judge it based off a higher criteria of
I agree with
is
that.
he rapping at this level or not.
I
not
agree
about
with that to some
the
degree.
masses being so dumbed down that they think everything is an Illmatic.
You got to give people credit for what they're doing in respect to their time period and the rules of their time.
I agree.
But yeah, I do agree that you can't take J. Cole and say that he was better than some of the classic art. People throw the word classic, legend, and gold around way too easily in this era.
Man.
I mean,
like,
give us some
1996, J. Cole would have been the 27th best MC in most settings.
I got in an argument with my homeboy the other day. He said J. Cole was a better rapper than Biggie, and I'm like,
how?
This is the problem.
This is the problem.
You can't compare the two. That's like saying the nigga like, James Harden is better than Magic Johnson or Kobe Bryant. I'm like, you reaching, bruh. You reaching.
Like nobody's allowed to touch him when he's dribbling at this point.
Right.
Basketball.
But when they when the playoffs and the game slows down at half court, he struggles. It's harder to come by those easy baskets. He's not getting as many trips to the line. His numbers suffer, and a lot of times he just doesn't show up in the same fashion that he does in the regular season. He's a great regular season player statistically in terms of his offensive output. But even maybe 8 or 9 years ago, when the NBA had the defensive rules were different and you could play the matchup zone and build a wall against the side of players, he wasn't able to. He was a sixth man on the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Lit Ray Allen have had the green light to shoot as many threes a game as James.
I am shooting 27 points a game. At least
he'd be passing up Kareem's numbers.
that's like,
right.
I agree. But all right, that's a good discussion. So we hated on the game a lot. I try to give the game some respect, but ultimately I agree with both of you that Kendrick is a superior rapper. The game is wrong, but I do believe that the game has the right to feel that about himself, because if you don't feel it, nobody else does, and apparently on this panel, nobody else. When
it comes to MCing, when it comes to lyricism, I'm like an organic vegan who only eats from his own private chef.
Yeah, you're real. You're Sadiddy. You're real. You're
like
real
I can't.
You're a hip hop junkie fan.
I'm accustomed to a higher level of words rhyme.
I don't disagree with you. Usually, I'm on
like, hey, this McDonald's is organic now. I'm like,
usually I'm that person, but if that's what I sound like to other people, I need to make some adjustments because the hate was strong with you, brother. The hate was strong with
I'm like, yo, this dude. I'm like, this dude is like pretty much Skip Bayless and like, bashing the guy. Like, wow.
He's about to turn me. He turned Kareem Ali into Screaming A. Smith.
So I have to stand here today as what I was when I was born, a black man.
Your racism bounces off me, I'm bulletproof. Your prejudice gets deflected, I'm bulletproof. Your hatred can't penetrate me, I'm bulletproof. Our minds can't be shackled no more, nah, we know the truth. Yeah, from the spot that Malcolm stood.